Hi, first grade. Mrs. Taima here. Welcome back. Hope you got your wiggles out. In part one, we learned and talked about the main character and the setting of the story, Waiting for the Biblioburrow. In part two, we are going to move on to talking about problem and resolution. As you remember from previous lessons when we talked about story stones, there is a symbol for problem and a symbol for resolution. The symbol for problem is this symbol right here. And the symbol for resolution is this one, the little guy with the light bulb above his head, kind of like, aha, like I get it. I solved my problem. So now I'm going to continue reading to you from Waiting for the Biblioburrow. And we are going to listen for details that might help us figure out what the problem of the story is. When you think you hear details about the problem of the story, I want you to gently point to the picture of the story stone that represents the problem. All right, let's get started. Anna has read her book, her only book, so many times she knows it by heart. The book was a gift from her teacher for working so hard on her reading and writing. But last fall, her teacher moved far away, and now there is no one to teach Anna and the other children in her village. Wow, I think in that page that I heard some details that might have been the problem. Did you? If you did you point to the problem story stone on the screen? I want you to turn to your partner, well, not your work partner, but like your learning partner who's there learning with you today. And I want you to tell them what details you heard about the problem. All right. I hope that you heard the same thing I heard. And what I heard about the problem of the story is that Anna only has one book to read, and there are no other stories. She only has one story, and there's no one there to teach her. Did you hear the same thing? All right. We are going to move on. We're going to continue reading from the story. And now I want you to listen for details about when the story changes. Because when the story changes, that's when we find the resolution to our problem. So at night on her bed in the house on the hill, Anna makes up her own cuentos and tells the stories to her little brother to help him fall asleep. She tells him stories about make-believe creatures that live in the forest, in the mountains, and the sea. She wishes for new stories to read, but her teacher with the books has gone. One morning, Anna wakes up to the sounds of tack-a-tack, clip-clop, and loud ee-yaw, ee-yaw. When Anna looks down the hill below her house, she sees a man with a sign that reads Biblioburrow. With the man, there are two burros. What are they carrying? Libros, books. Anna runs down the hill to the man with the sign and the burros and the books. Other children run to him too, skipping down hills and stomping through fields. Who are you? Who are they? The children ask. The man says, I'm a librarian, a bibliotecario, and these are my burros, Alpha and Beta. Welcome to the Biblioburrow, my biblioteca. But, senor, Anna says, I thought libraries were only in big cities and buildings. Not this one, says the librarian. This is a moving library. Then he spreads out his books and invites the children to join him under a tree. Once upon a time, the librarian begins sharing the story of an elephant who swings from a spider's web. He reads from books with beautiful pictures, then helps the little ones learn their abecedario. He sings A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Finally, he says, "Now it's your turn. Pick out books, and in a few weeks, I will be back to collect them and bring you new ones." "Me too?" asks Anna. "Especially you," says the librarian with a smile. Wow, I just heard some details that told me when the problem changes. I bet you heard them too. What happens in the story that helps change Anna's problem? Turn and talk to your partner for a minute, or your learning partner. And if you don't have anyone next to you, that's okay too. Just say it out loud. All right, good job. On page 9, when the librarian arrives, he brings a lot of books with him. Then, on page 11, the librarian is reading books to Anna and the other children. Then on page 13, the librarian allows Anna to bring books home with her. So all of these details help me figure out that the resolution to the story is that Anna's problem changes because now she has more than one book to read. Let's keep reading. So many cuentos. While Alpha and Beto chomp the sweet grass under the tree, Anna picks up book after book and finds pink dolphins and blue butterflies, castles and fairies, talking lions, and magic carpets. Someone should write a story about your burrows, Anna tells the librarian, rubbing Alpha's nose and feeding more grass to Beto. "Why don't you?" he asks. Then he packs up the books and is off. "Enjoy," he calls out to the children. "I will be back." Anna runs up the hill to her house, hugging the books to her chest. She can't wait to share her books with her brother, and that night she reads until she can't keep her eyes open any longer. Each morning, Anna does her chores and reads and looks out the window. She listens for the sounds of Alpha and Beto, but weeks pass and the librarian doesn't return. "When will he come back?" she asks her mother, who smiles and says, "Go read, Anna." "When will he come back?" she asks her mother, who smiles and says, "Go draw, Anna." "When will he come back?" she asks her mother, who smiles and says, "Go write, Anna." "When will he come back?" she asks her mother, who finally says, "Go to bed, Anna." One night, Anna dreams she is flying over her country on a butterfly's back. In her dream, she crosses mountains and oceans and rivers and jungles, bringing stories everywhere she goes. Stories fly from her mouth and fingers like magic, falling into the hands of the children waiting below. When Anna walks up, she misses Alpha and Beto and the Biblio Burrows books. She remembers that the librarian told her that she could write a book, and so, with paper and string and colored pencil, she does. Finally, just when Anna thinks she'll never see the Biblio Burrow again, she wakes up to "Ee-yaw, ee-yaw," and the children yelling. She runs down the hill with her library books and a special surprise of her very own. "I wrote this cuento for you," she says. "Que bueno," the librarian says, and then he reads her story to the children under the tree. When it's time to go, Anna's book is packed carefully on the burro's back, ready to be carried away over the hills and through the fields to another child who is asleep on a bed in a house on a hill behind a tree, dreaming of Alpha and Beta and all the new stories the Biblioburrow will bring. The end. What a good book. I love that book. Really fits in with our talk about imagination and reality the other day in our previous lesson. Okay, so now you are going to move on to the next slide, and you are going to insert a flip grid, and your instructions are going to be right here. Hold on. We're going to do it right now.
So much. And before we put it all together, let's take a minute to use the story map to retell the problem and the resolution. The problem is that Anna only has one book and there is no one there to teach her. But then that changes when the Biblioburrow comes with new books and Anna gets new books to read. But then it changes again because she has to wait for more books to come. But the problem gets resolved or solved when Anna writes her own book to give to the Biblioburrow. Okay, you've practiced and now it's your turn to put it all together. I'd like you to take a minute to think about the story. Think about the characters, the setting, the problem, and the resolution. You will use all of those story elements to help you retell Waiting for the Biblioburrow. If you have the story stones, you can hold them up as you retell. You can also use the book if you have it. One more thing, if your learning partner is not available, that's okay. Just retell the story aloud. Are you ready? Pause the video to retell the story aloud or to your learning partner.
All right, friends, this is where you will go to the next slide and you will insert your own Flipgrid video retelling the story using characters, setting, problem, and resolution. Good luck. I know you can do it.